Hello, and this is Iqbal Latif from Greece today. I'm a traveler, I'm a nomad traveler. I move around the world. That's my not only a hobby, that's my work. I'm associated with hospitality, therefore. But I have a vlog, regular vlog on my own account on Facebook. I write on things since last 45 years. I comment on contemporary events, things that they impact me, my nation, my family, my neighborhood, my people, my universe. So I have a plethora of dialogue and I cover all of them. Today, this is my first vlog on this particular channel. I have been requested to talk about things on what I think are important this week. I hope I'll be with my busy schedule, will be able to talk about things that may interest Pakistani diaspora. So I will take two topics today. First of all is the tragic flooding of East and West Punjab, and second, the Indus Water Treaty, 1960. Let's go first to Indus Water Treaty, 1960, and the famous disaster of floods, infamous disaster of floods that has happened, tragic, heart-rending tragedy that has happened. The dialogue which I want to emphasize on from day one, when the Indus Water Treaty, after the tragic slaughter of 26 Kashmiris, Hindus, by asking their names that I totally don't agree and I condemn. And based on that, Indus Water Treaty was put in abeyance within 24 hours. And I think that was a already well-planned strategy. And there was no doubt about it that this well-planned strategy was considered as part of overall design of Modi administration since 13 years. They have not been talking to Pakistan. They have not been engaging with Pakistan. And they want to see that how far they can take it before economically, strategically, Pakistan becomes weak. And they have been quite successful in that, in the sense that in 2020, Balakot, 2019-20 Balakot incident, uh, when they attacked Balakot activities, which they call terrorist camps, and Ghuske Marenge, they got a reply. But at the end of the day, the things went quieted down. But it was told that, okay, we can't fight India. We don't have money. That was what Bajwa Saab said, that we don't have money for the tanks. Indians have tried to extract the best out of their own leverage. And they have been waiting for next incident that may result in the suspension and abeyance of Indus Water Treaty that have sustained nearly 3 wars between India and Pakistan. It is a lifeline. Without Indus Water Treaty agreements, we would have been total a nation and a region that would have had water wars. In 1951, World Bank agreed with Pakistan's request. Since 1948, there was a skirmish with India on water, where there was the headworks of Indus, Jhelum, no, not Indus, but Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Satluj were all in India. They were not in Pakistan because Pakistan and India was one land. After the Batwara, there were all the headworks were there, and there was some manipulation of the headworks in 1948. So therefore, World Bank knew about it, that this is an umbilical cord. The two regions are joined by the rivers. So they decided that, okay, let's put the two nations together and agree on settlement through which there is a clear marcation of who gets what from the water. So they had a record of 40 years, and based on that record, they decided the treaty. And basically, Indus originates from Tibet, Plateau, Mansour Lake, and Jhelum, Chenab, which are known as western rivers, come also from areas which are controlled by Kashmir, of Indian Kashmir. And then Ravi, Satluj, Beas, which are known as the eastern rivers, also originating from Indian Kashmir. So a treaty was held, and based on which all the water of Indus and Jhelum and Chenab was given to Pakistan, and Ravi, Satluj, and Beas was given to India. A treaty was signed between Field Marshal Ayub Khan and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who came to Karachi, and it was signed. And there were 8 consortium countries, which includes Britain, Germany, Italy, America. They put $800 million for Pakistan to control the waters and have storages, because Indus is a perennial flow. Indus is not like Nile 24/7 river. It is perennial flow. Basically, 70% of Indus flows in 4 months. 30% of Indus flows in 8 months. Therefore, it is important to have storage dams on Indus. You have excess of water in 3 months, and you have lack of water in another 8 months. That has been traditionally, historically, the case of Indus. Therefore, Lloyd's Barrage, Sakkar was made in 1927 to 1931, 32. I come from Sakkar, therefore I know this process very well. I've lived on the banks of Sakkar. I've seen Sakkar River dead dry. In December, January, we could go to Sadhu Buela walking with a small 10 meters to pass, and rest of it, it was to the brim. June, July, August, it was to the brim. That's the case. Now, where do we come with this Indus Water Treaty now? It was put in abeyance. This is lifeline for 2 nations. It's a lifeline for Pakistan, 240 million people. It's a lifeline for East Punjab, which is a basket bread of India. And the water treaty has done well. With 15 to 20 million acre feet of Ravi, Satluj, and Beas goes to India. They use it, and Chenab, Jhelum, and Indus comes to Pakistan, 140 million acre feet. And basically, what putting in abeyance means that since you are a terrorist nation, therefore we will not work with you, and therefore we cut off the treaty. It's a sovereign treaty between two sovereign nations. They say it's a bilateral treaty. We are under no obligation of whatsoever of any kind to listen to anybody. And then soon after they put the treaty in abeyance in April of 2025, they had a meeting, Amit Shah and Mr. Patil, the Jal Minister, and Mr. Made, of course, that the abeyance was taken, decision was taken by Prime Minister himself, that now we will have a short-term, medium-term, long-term strategy to make sure the exact words used by Mr. Jal Minister, Mr. Patil, was not a single drop of water goes into Pakistan. Now, of course, that was exaggeration of highest order. That does not mean anything. But they made a plan that short term, medium term, it's all recorded. You can check it, it's all there. And they decided to have it. And what they did, they started playing with Salal and Balagir. They are run off the river dams. There's not much storage capacity in them. But you can manipulate it. At Ignore, we saw in April and May, there was no water. It was drying up because they would close the doors of Salal and Balagir, and then they will open it in flooding. The whole idea of dams is constant, gradual flow of water. Informed decision making is an integral part of Indus Water Treaty. There's a telemetry system, and India and Pakistan are bound by Indus Water Treaty that they will talk to each other regularly. But since 2021 to 2000 now, the commission that was supposed to talk to each other was suspended by Mr. Modi. He decided not to consult with Pakistan on any issue on Indus Water. This is transgression of the treaty. And based on this, that, oh, it's a bilateral treaty. We don't care. We are a big nation. We are a strong nation. We are a rich nation. Do what you want. Pakistan went to International Arbitration Commission. India boycotted it, that you don't have the dispensation and the authority to rule on it. Though International Arbitration Commission is not only have the authority, if the 2 nations are not able to reach to an agreement and one of the nations decide not to talk to them, they have to go to International Arbitration Commission in Hague, which is a final judgment. They gave the judgment in July that India is contravening the Indus Water Treaty, and Kishan Ganga Dam conditions are kind of violating the concept of run of the river dams. And therefore, they penalized India and they educated against India, which India refused to accept. In July, India said, so I'm not a party to it, I don't accept it. Now, on one hand, why did they do that? Because the dams are to be regulated. Information and water that is coming to the dams it has to be informed. The whole idea of avoiding a flood and having a flood is the flow of water in the timings which is available. And that's what you see now. So go on the social media, all over East Punjab, they had been damaged severely because what happened that Ravi, Satluj and Beas comes through India into Pakistan. They don't come from Pakistan into India. They come from India into Pakistan. When they closed the dam, and then they released on Ravi, the Tame Dam, and on Satluj, the Bakra Dam, I think if I can mix the names, and they opened all this water. They filled it to the brim, filled the dams to the brim. Though in summer months, what happens, you create a flood cushion. You create 6 million acre feet of water or 7 million acre feet of water, expecting, it has been a tradition for last 30 or 40 years, by telemetry coordination, by commissions talking to each other, they manage it. The flow of water is managed. If you release 1 million acre feet of water in 24 hours, and if you release 1 million acre feet of water in 3 days or 4 days, that's the difference. Rate of flow is the difference. That's how devastating flood comes in the first case, and steady floods and a medium level floods come in the second case. In monsoons, the monsoons have shifted. There was immense rains, 400 millimeter plus rains. Instead of having any kind of conversation which is demanded by the treaty, because treaty was suspended, because there was no conversation, because there was no idea of exchanging information to save lives. Look at the tragedy of this whole making. Amit Shah, Patil, Mr. Prime Minister Modi had agreed that, okay, we will not exchange any information. Good enough. But what happened, the dams were completely full, sadly. On 15th of August, most of these dams on the Indian side, on Ravi and Satluj, and the headworks, they were completely 90% filled. They had no flood cushion. So when all of a sudden they were inundated, within 48 to 72 hours, instead of commission, there's a permanent commission. Instead of informing them through telemetry record, through constant engagement with the weather reports, that how much water is coming in, how much rain is going to come. We know about raindrop within 7 days or 14 days in advance. All this was completely forgotten, and to have a punishment to Pakistan that in one day will inundate you, the other day will make you look for water, will make Pakistan dry. And that's what happened. Unfortunately, all of a sudden, within 72 hours, we had inundated the dams. The dam doors were open. Yes, India informed Pakistan, not through the commission, which they are legally obliged to appoint, not through Inter-Water Treaty, which is 1960. And you can fact check it, because I've taken this case to the arbitration of 5 AI. And all of them have, after submitting the IAC, International Arbitration Commission report, after submitting the testimony of Lieutenant General Singh, who on record said, yes, this is our strategy. We want to destroy Pakistani farmlands. Yes, this is our strategy. We want to, on one day, we want to not to have them water. In the winter, lean months, we will not let them have any water. We'll collect it, we'll divert it. In the summer months, when we have too much, we'll give them the water they need. He used the term that if we have 50 grams of water, we'll give them 50 grams. But when they don't need it, the idea is punish them.
ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ? ਅਸੀਂ ਪਾਣੀ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕਾਂਗੇ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੋਲਡਿੰਗ ਕਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਹੈ ਡੈਮਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਐਂਡ ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਅਚਾਨਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਛੱਡ ਦਾਂਗੇ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਹੁਣ ਜੇਹਲਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਣੀ ਛੱਡਿਆ, ਉਹ ਕਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਤੋਂ ਕਿਤੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਪਾਣੀ ਛੱਡਿਆ ਜਾਏਗਾ। ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਲਡ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਪੈਸਿਟੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਫਲੱਡਸ ਹੋਣਗੇ, ਤੇ ਨਾ ਹੀ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਗੇਨਫੁਲੀ ਯੂਟੀਲਾਈਜ਼ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ,
ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ।
ਔਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਿਰ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਰੋਕ ਲਾਂਗੇ, ਔਰ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਗਰਮੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਹੀਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਫਸਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਹਾੜੀ ਸੋਣੀ ਦੀ, ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ ਪਾਣੀ ਦੀ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ ਰੋਕ ਲਓ, ਬਰਸਾਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਦੋਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ ਛੱਡ ਦਿਓ। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਹੁਣ ਵਾਟਰ ਐਜ਼ ਅ ਵੈਪਨ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਹੈ।
And then another gentleman was just now talking, I was listening, that yes, if you wanted to inundate us, if you wanted to destroy East Punjab so badly, why didn't you tell us beforehand? At least destroy them, but let us at least recollect our things. We didn't know also.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਮ ਸੇ ਕਮ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਤਬਾਹ ਕਰਨਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਦੁਸ਼ਮਣ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਖਲੋਤੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਕਮ ਸੇ ਕਮ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਅਲਰਟ ਕਰ ਦਿਓ ਯਾਰ, ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਣ ਵਾਲਾ, ਆਪਣਾ ਸਮਾਨ ਸਾਂਭ ਲਓ, ਆਪਦੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਾਂਭ ਲਓ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਲਰਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਵੀ ਅਗਲੇ ਵੀ ਅਲਰਟ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੇ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਸੀਗਾ।
It's a time for a break now. Let's take a quick break and we'll get back to you soon. Welcome back to Daily Diary. The point is, it was total mismanagement. Yes, I'm not suggesting that floods are not a natural cause. Floods are a natural cause. There's no doubt about it. Unfortunately, the problem is that when you want to put human mischievous, human wickedness, human view to destroy their own enemy, you self-destruct also. That's what happened. Karma is a bitch. What happened? They got also damaged. But yes, Pakistan is a lower riparian society. All of a sudden, they have to deal with 2 to 3 million acre feet of extra water. Ravi, which is a dead bad. Sutlej, I was just in May, I was going over Sutlej. It's a desert in a normal year. And all of a sudden, Sutlej has 100,000 cusics of water flowing through it. And that is where the problem lies. The Indus Water Treaty guarantees that we have no damage of life, guarantees that farmlands on both sides, they thrive, guarantees that magnanimity, benevolence, magnitude of big heart rules the heart of Punjab, East and West, as well as Sindh, as well as Kashmir, as well as India, as well as Pakistan. That equity was slaughtered by this radicalized, myopic, inward-looking arrangement of Prime Minister Modi. That's the sad part. Therefore, when I took my case to the 5 AI, Grok, Perplexity, as well as Gemini, ChatGPT, and one more, and they all collectively decided, presenting the whole documentation. I presented them nearly 3,000 papers for the Indus Water Treaty because I have been following it. I have been seeing the construction of, as a kid, Tarbela, Mangla. As a kid, I was interested because, as I told you, I was born in Sakkar. I love water. Hydrology is my second nature. I'm a civil engineer by profession. I always had a dream that if I ever worked for a final, last twilight zone of my life, the last walk before my death, I'll construct the Calabar Dam. I'll talk about it later, one day. The tragedy on our side also that we are a water-rich nation. We should have not had IPPs. In 1992, I wrote an article, Pakistan is doing the biggest mistake of their life by putting IPP. I wrote in a newspaper that Pakistan will become mortgaged to WAPDA because the problem, we are a hydrological country. We have 8,000 meters of 4 biggest heights in the world. We have 4 largest, but Valdora and other Siachen glaciers in our side. Indus collects 120 million acre feet of water after Kargil and Leh. And what we have done, and Indus, as I told you, the perennial flow. Within 3 months, 70% of the water flows out. Rest of it, 30% comes in 8 months. Are you not going to store that water? No one has really ever talked to me and told me, Iqbal, you're right. Not a single Sindhi politician knew about it. I've talked to every one of them. Not a single Pashtun politician have talked about it. Unfortunately, that's the second part of the tragedy. And what we did, Lahore gave the biggest sacrifice on the eastern rivers. And the Ravi, which was like Rhine of Lahore, it was like Seine of Paris, the Rhine of Berlin, the Seine of Paris, Thames of London, they gave that sacrifice and took over the control of the western rivers to avoid this scenario, what is happening now. Upper riparian societies can do extreme big damage. The constitution of Pakistan and Pakistan together provides every province, the lower riparian province, to have an equitable distribution of water. That we have been doing. Water record 1992. Therefore, we also have faltered. We have, yes, as far as Ravi, Sutlej and Bias is concerned, I give in. There was no way that we could have stored that water. Yes, in Chulistan, if we have canals, this additional water can be collected, but not through Tarbela. In Tarbela, we should have had Kalabagh. In Tarbela, we should have had Bashamir. In Mangla, we should have Dasu. That's how we could have created 24,000 megawatt of electricity without any import of oil. We are poor because we decided to become poor, because of our provincial megalomania that no, Punjab is going to steal. Punjab has not stolen so far. That's the problem. The Sindhi politicians who are nationalists, who closed their highways for reasons that they have no idea. I come from Sindh, I'm from Sakkar, I'm born in Sindh. I feel that I'm and my economy is murdered by this myopic view. The more water we have, the better future we have. The better electricity we have, the better hydrology. We have 8,000 meters of water coming down to the plains of Punjab. Let me remind you, you all have traveled on M2. Have you ever gone through the Salt Range? Have you ever thought how the Salt Range comes down so nicely? And then you see the plains of Punjab. Then you see Alexander the Great came and his horse is buried, and Kanporus had, along the banks of Jhelum, had that famous war. What I'm trying to say, that is ahead from 8,000 meters from K2 to that plain, 50 meters above the sea level in Karachi. That is the head we have, 7,950 meter head. And what do? We destroy it. Not a single Pakistani talks about it. We continue to talk about menial matters, not one, because they don't understand. The time has come that we should not only condemn what has happened, the man-made tragedy, we should also consider why we should not really sit down and collect this water, why we should not cut off our reliance on imported fuel. We have a capacity of 60,000 megawatt of electricity. Dasu is one being made. Kalabagh should be made. There should be an open debate. Today is the age of science, not age of provincialism. We cannot accept this two-facedness that you get 42% from the Indian Accord, from the water record of 1992. Sindh gets its full share. Oh, Sindh is not getting enough share to go back to 1931-32. Why did we have Lloyd's Barrage in Sakkar? That was a question I had, Mike. I went to British Library to check the parliament record. In 1895, there was a parliament member who came back from presidency of Bombay and came into parliament and declared that if we are not going to put something in for Sindh for the months of October, November, December, January, we will have a disaster, we'll have a famine. Therefore, it was decided to create Lloyd's Barrage. That's the region we have Nara Canal. There would have been no Sangar. There would have been no Nawab Shah, no water there. Nara Canal is a small Suez Canal. Then there's a left bank canal and the right bank canals. That is provided to Dadu and Narkana. That has provided water to Sakkar. Had to be bridged. There was no Punjab. There was no Tarbela. No one was stealing water. Why there was no water? Why they had to make such a big dam in 1931-32? That is my biggest point. The Sindhi politicians will not answer this. Nobody has stolen their water. I'm a Sindhi, and I stand up and say that what you are doing is playing with death. And you have made Sindh poor. You have made Sindh because of the feudal mindset that you have. Free your man. Store the water. Distribute it as per 1992 water record. Nobody is going to steal. Pakistan has not been that bad to each other province. The myopic mindset has also destroyed us. We are poor out of choice. We should not be poor, so poor. And you know what? When we signed Indus Water Treaty, they say Field Marshal Ayub Khan had done something wrong. That is one step he has taken, that like Zulfikar Ali Bhutto opened the passport, opened medical colleges, opened engineering colleges. That was the biggest step that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto did with the negative of nationalization. That was a negative. Field Marshal Ayub Khan, Indus Water Treaty was one of the best things happened to Pakistan. We would have had this water wars back then. What is happening now? And I tell you, Modi will not succeed. The International Arbitration Commission Award is a binding award. They don't understand. Indian intellectuals, they don't understand. They say, we will flout it. We don't care. No, you cannot flout an arbitration award. You know, you remember when we had an award against us for Reykjavik because Chief Justice Iftikhar did something foolish and he cancelled the contract? Pakistan was like a sort of democracy hanging over it. They had to pay for that award. And that is what I'm trying to say, that you have to be rational. You have to be reasonable. You have to get, what is your niche? Our niche is a water. We have a water tank on the top, 8,000 meter high water tank. We are not taking advantage. Oh, we will not let you do anything. That's not the way. Brothers don't work like this. Brothers, when the father is there, they distribute the assets nicely. They work with love with each other. Those families survive. Nations also will survive like that. Today, I've not heard, except I'm one of the few writers who've been writing about Indus Water Treaty 1960, the cases. I've not read single cogent article by any of these journalists who are on the Pakistan TV. Why? This is the issue that has been discussed. It's all about Atiala Jail, 804, and things like that. Let's be honest. Nation building is not an easy task. Pakistan is fighting a crucial survival battle. We are a rich nation if we can control our resources. Our biggest resource is water. The debate of the nation should be, yes, they are right that it would have not saved the floods, what happened in Ravi, Beas and Satluj. That is a man-made disaster. And I tell you honestly, the case I'm taking to International Arbitration Commission, I'm encouraging the Prime Minister. The point is, I cannot reach them, cannot talk to them. They don't talk to me because I'm not interested. I'm moving around. I'm in Oman. But at the end of the day, I give all the papers to them. Go do something about it. What they do in 17 weeks, I have already done. The arbitration papers are ready on Indus Water Treaty as well as this, what has happened with the evidence of Lieutenant General Singh, which is proclaiming that we are going to destroy Pakistan downstream lower riparian society by regulating the water. One day we'll send enough of water, other day we'll dry them out completely, not a single drop. And that is the kind of threat we face. And what are we doing as a nation? We cannot even come and talk. Let's sit down and let experts close this gap of understanding. We will only become rich if we control the ability to that 60,000 megawatt capacity we have. We should, on a war footing basis, we should organize it. And the second thing we should really do is get these dams going on Indus, collect the water, Basha, Joshami. You know, it's a synchronized thing. And you can see my television program, Iqbal Latif on Kalabagh Dam, in 2008, in 1997, in 1983, as long as that. They call me Mr. Kalabagh. That's not the case, because I understand the jugular of Pakistan is water, and we have failed it. And that's what I've always been talking about. My purpose of this program is that not to praise people, but to praise the actions that have really survived. Today, Pakistan is surviving so far because of that Indus Water Treaty 1960. Today, Punjabis have given a big sacrifice. My father, my mother were one of those rare refugees who went back in 1915. My father went to Rangoon as a doctor from King Edward Medical College. They went and migrated, went out all over the world. They were not feudals. They got educated, they went, and my mother also went out, worked as a midwife. She was a class fellow of Hakim Ajmal Khan Hospital with Hakim Saeed. Hard work pays. Feudalism does not pay. Kacha ke zameen and kacha ke dakus will not work. Talk with logic and reason. This is the survival battle Pakistan is facing. Have a dialogue on that. I invite the so-called intellectuals in Pakistan to talk about issues, to talk about the core issues which are central to our very existence. Pakistan has done very well. And you know why I say Pakistan has done well? I'm not an emotional person. I'm a casual person with a very deep study of human history. And I tell you why. I tell you why. Yes, all these liberals will tell you, when I came to Lahore, a friend of mine took me to, oh, I'll take you to a big intellectual gathering. And I went to that big intellectual gathering, and everybody was in his own way. And when I talked about how good Pakistan has done, no one liked it. They all wanted to abuse Pakistan. Yesterday in my Facebook, every liberal wants to abuse Pakistan. They showed a picture of Shahbaz Sharif standing in the corner, and they said, Bhutan and Mr. Modi was walking, look at our Prime Minister, how is this guy? That's not the case at all. What Pakistan has achieved with this limited capacity, 1/10 of the capacity in defense budget, with $8 billion 2025 defense budget, $80 billion versus of India. The entire Indian Air Force was frozen from 7th to 10th. We never we show any gratitude, any gratefulness. We started in 1947 with only 3% of the industrial units, Bangladesh and Pakistan together, against 97% in India. We had nothing to start with. North of Indus, it was Salman Range, Chulistan Desert, Thar Desert, Sindh Desert, on to Rajasthan. Just check it. Pakistan, 66% area is inhabitable. 33% is habitable. And in those trying circumstances, these 240 million people have created an economy which is $410 billion. Yes, we have not done to the full capacity, but we started from very low. Our literacy rate was 9% or 10%. 9 or 10%. Then we have ideological obsessions that we cannot stop it. With all these negatives, we have done well so far. We can do very well if we look the challenges we have. That's what we should look at. That's what you should work at. That's what you should focus on. Pakistan needs. Let's compare to those 220 million Muslims in India. What is their contribution to the national economy of India? Their GDP is $4 trillion, they say. $3.74 trillion. Well done. But basically, the Muslim contribution to that the GDP is 4%. Read such a report, 2000 and what it was, 2006. And it is very, very clear from that report. You will see that one thing very clear, that 3 sectors have gone down the economic performance: the elites, untouchables, Muslims. Unfortunately. 4% of the 4 trillion is $160 billion. Somewhere along the line, these people with freedom on our side have done well. Somewhere along the line, we live a good, decent life. We are poor, yes. But that poverty is dignity. I was in Lahore and I saw it. I've been to the lowest people where, and economically, the societies are drained of last hope, but there's a dignified poverty. I sat with them for 15 days. I experimented myself with no car, nothing. I wanted that. I'm going back again for simple reason. Not that there is still a hope. There's still a virtue within this country. Let's put this act together. We have done extremely well, I tell you honestly, with all our negativity. And any person who will continue to tell us that you are a thief, you are nobody, we have disaster, he's telling you lies. When I am in the gutter, I look at the stars. I'm promoting this idea that we have done well. Let's stand together. Let's rationally talk to each other. Let's reasonably reach out to each other. Let's make this an example of success. Let's capitalize on electricity, hydrological hydropower. This should be an eye-opener. And I tell you one thing more. Let me give you a prediction that this manipulation of the floods and water has brought East and West Punjab together. Exactly like water caused havoc and damaged. I tell you honestly, now East and West Punjab should realize that any war in Pakistan or India should not be on the grounds of East and West Punjab, because they will have to pay all the sacrifices. They should refuse to have. When Tara Singh decided to have with Jawaharlal Nehru, deciding to go to the other side, now they realize, imagine if Punjab was one. There was two divisions. One was Batwara of Pakistan. One was Batwara of East and West Punjab. It was the biggest tragedy. If Punjab was one, there would have been no war. There would have been, the border would be different. Wagah Atari would not be a border. It would be somewhere right inside the heart. I don't want to name the city. That would have been the border. And that is what I'm talking about. Today, this in East and West Punjab will come together as a result of this. You'll see that. And that is going to be the biggest consequence of this water wars. There will be no war. I can put down very clearly. After this Sindoor operation, what has happened, it has been a self-imploding thing from. Emperor is found naked. The Indian Air Force could not come and dominate the skies over Lahore. Not that. Something happened right. What happened in Balakot could not be done now. The multi-domain, multifaceted, well-integrated operation worked. And that's what it is, deterrence. And that deterrence have given a lot of thinking to people all over the world that Pakistan is not a walkover. The perception about Pakistan has changed. Not that Pakistan all of a sudden has become a big nation. No, there's not. Realistically, that's what a self-defining nations do. We are fighting. Our survival is our biggest success. Our dignified survival is our biggest success. Therefore, I think I've taken enough time today, from water to strategy to things. These are all interlinked phenomena. They're not separated in regions like Pakistan. We were born from the same womb. The only way possible is respect, dignity between older brothers and younger brothers. Not hegemony, not dictation, not telling me all the time I'm very poor. You don't even tell a poor man that he's poor. Somebody who tells me that, the last thing, he says his last line of defense, that, oh, you are poor. But if I'm poor and I can hold you on, and then your Air Force cannot come over Lahore, something is wrong with you. I've given you a detailed account of what my understanding of these floods, of Indus Water Treaty's abeyance and suspension means for our region. It means catastrophic impact on our lives. It will mean water wars. It will mean a disaster, unintended disaster. They're playing with fire. And when small minds and small people undertake to put walls against the nature, these things can lead into consequences which can lead to a holocaust, famine, disasters that have consequences that will be recorded by history. That's what I request my friends across the border. And here, there should be a dialogue. They should sit on the table. Nothing is bigger than human life. Up till now, 24 people have died in East Punjab. No one is talking about. Thousands of acres of land is underwater. Same is here in Pakistan. Much more bigger consequence, yes. But also, this tragedy has resulted into one thing. No one will be able to manipulate now East and West Punjab. There'll be a huge kind of extraordinary reaction from people. That reaction will be negative. They are talking about it. People like me are highlighting it. We are taking up Lieutenant General Singh yesterday testimony as an evidence. We have taken the entire meeting of Amit Shah Patil and Mr. Modi's statement about I've turning the tap and they are already crying. The meeting, public meeting he did. All this is not required. This is inhuman. You cannot have collective punishment for a terror incident, which is not still properly investigated. So basically, terror incidents, we condemn it. But on the other hand, you cannot, for those incidents, punish a whole nation. Collective punishment is an animalistic, rogue behavior. This is the kind of behavior which Nazis did, Gulags did, Soviets did. Something which no one accepts in this modern contemporary world. My liberal friends who continue to think this is a great idea, I will tell them, this is not a great idea. This will not work. And I can you predict it. Mr. Modi will have to not only respect Indus Water Treaty, if he continues not to respect, he will have to be, a huge amount of damages will be awarded by the same Hague Commission, which they don't think that it's good enough. It's not, no, it's very much good enough. In the rule-based world, in a rule of law-based world, you cannot dictate your will. No consortium country, no United Nation will accept it. And someone who has dreamed of having a seat as the 6th Security Council member has lost it now. Post-Sindor, all this, and with this border strategy, abeyance of international treaty, it will have severe consequences. And India, as a big brother, can do better, can sit down and talk, resolve these issues. That's what I think. Therefore, I will tomorrow, coming with my new program on this daily diary with Ocean News, I'll be bringing next week the consequences of and what was the purpose of SCO and the allegations that in SCO, Pakistan had not a very good reaction. I will explain behind the scenes what actually happened. So at the moment, I'll say goodbye from Greece and will join you next week, maybe from Vietnam, Hanoi. Thank you very much.